Hot 5 Fingers X Martingale Alpha Variant 1. This is a method that involves a betting layout at the roulette table chart that follows the trend of previous results and adjusting your wager. 2. Half dozen columns are: first half dozen column, numbers 1 to 6, second half dozen column, numbers 4 to 9, third half dozen column, numbers 7 to 12, fourth half dozen column, numbers 10 to 15, fifth half dozen column, numbers 13 to 18, sixth half dozen column, numbers 16 to 21. Eighth half dozen column, numbers 22 to 27, ninth half dozen column, numbers 25 to 30, 10th half dozen column, numbers 28 to 33, 11th half dozen column, numbers 31 to 36. 3. By betting 5 half dozen columns covering 30 numbers, the winning percentage is 30/37, 81%, and return is 0.2 times of wager 6/30, 20%. Under same wager amount, you need to win 5 turns to cover 1 turn of losing. For example, if you bet 10 on the first half dozen column, 10 on the third half dozen column, 10 on the fifth half dozen column, 10 on the seventh half dozen column, 10 on the ninth half dozen column and lose, you will need to win 5 turns to obtain 50, i.e. your lost wager. 4. This is a higher winning percentage and lower return bet. 5. Hot half dozen columns are those with the highest wins in the last 100 turns. 6. You can find out those hot half dozen columns by checking the past results. Otherwise, you may observe a few turns to find out those hot half dozen columns. 7. Once you have determined those hot half dozen columns, you bet on them. 8. After 20 turns, you have to redetermine those hot half dozen columns again. 9. There are 4 levels of wager. First level is the base wager, second level is 5 times the base wager, third level is 30 times the base wager, fourth level is 180 times the base wager. For illustration, if your first level is 10 on each of the 5 half dozen columns covering 30 numbers, i.e. base wager, then your second level will be 50 on each of the 5 half dozen columns covering 30 numbers, i.e. 5 times the base wager. Third level will be 300 on each of the 5 half dozen columns covering 30 numbers, i.e. 30 times the base wager. Fourth level will be 1,800 on each of the 5 half dozen columns covering 30 numbers, i.e. 180 times the base wager. 10. If you lose, proceed to use the next level wager amount for the next bet. For example, if you bet 10 on each of the 5 half dozen columns covering 30 numbers, i.e. first level, and lose, then your wager will be 50 on each of the 5 half dozen columns covering 30 numbers, i.e. second level. For the next bet, if you bet 50 on each of the 5 half dozen columns covering 30 numbers and lose, then your wager will be 300 on each of the 5 half dozen columns covering 30 numbers, i.e. third level. For the next bet, if you bet 300 on each of the 5 half dozen columns covering 30 numbers and lose, then your wager will be 1,800 on each of the 5 half dozen columns covering 30 numbers, i.e. fourth level, for the next bet. If you win 1 turn, just continue betting with the current level of wager. When you win 2 consecutive turns, you will recover your previous losses and may gain 0.2 times the amount of wager at your current level. After winning 2 consecutive turns, please return to first level wager if you wish to continue betting. 11. You can only use 4 levels of wager. Please stop if you lose on the 4th level even if earlier you had won 1 turn. 12. Know the maximum bet limit before using this method and make sure it is possible to execute the 4th level wager.
Start demo. Thanks for watching.